Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Big Buzz Breakfast Club. I hope everybody was enjoying that music. It was a nice way to get the blood flowing this morning. I am Melissa Lagowski, founder, owner, and CEO of Big Buzz Idea Group. And I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us this morning. Big Buzz Idea Group powers nonprofit organizations to fuel positive change in the world. And so for those of you who are just meeting me for the first time this morning, I am a previous executive director. And in my first stint as an executive director, I annually ran 24 events. 12 newsletters were written every year, and I managed 8 committees, 225 members, and I was a staff of 1. I loved what I was doing, but I got burnt out in that role being a solo, executive director and staff. And so then fast forward just a couple of years and I launched Big Buzz Idea Group. And the purpose of launching the company was really to become an outsourcing partner for nonprofits to be able to do more. I know how stretched everybody is. And so Big Buzz Idea Group was founded in the fall of 2004. And we work with nonprofits and associations who want their offices to run more efficiently so that they can focus on their mission and their vision. We believe that leadership can more effectively work on their organizational growth, knowing that they can rely on an honest and caring team. For less than the cost of a single employee, our experienced team executes a unique combination of management, marketing, and event services to suit your needs. And so part of what we do is bring together every month these Big Buzz Breakfast Clubs in an effort to bring you information that will benefit you. And so we are excited today to be talking about powering up your nonprofit promotions. My team is with me, so I'd like to thank Brad and Laura for being on the back end and also recognize that Craig, Shay, and Sarah are also on this webinar and happy to answer questions as they come up, and we are all here for you. Brad, could you please share with me the poll results at this time? So what are your top 3 methods for event promotions currently? 80% of you are utilizing email, 80% are using the company website, and 60% are utilizing organic social media. So I think that's probably about what we expected. I think today, as we talk about powering your nonprofits, some of these ideas will seem very simple and very easy and may already be things that you are doing. But my goal is that you will get a couple of aha moments that you can take away and start to implement immediately to try to expand your reach. And so when we are talking about nonprofit promotions, one of the first things that we have to do is really think about our goals. For those of you who work with us, you know we always start out with goal setting. It's such an important part of just really getting organized, because you can do a lot of different promotional methods, but if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, you may be choosing the wrong ones. So I think, are you trying to increase your donations and raise more money? Are you trying to sell tickets to a particular event or activity? Increasing subscribers, your followers? Are you trying to get people over to your website? Is there something there that you really want them to see? Are you trying to recruit volunteers? Some of you may be trying to build your staff and hire new staff members as well. Or are you trying to secure media coverage and get exposure? Because each of those goals are going to start to really require a different lens and a different focus. So each time you start out on a project and you think about how you're going to promote that particular project or activity, I think it's important to think about your goals and then think about which of these tactics would make the most sense for you. And I think that, really just knowing that can make a big difference. I recently heard a story about an event. And so I couldn't help but put this quote in here. Without promotion, something terrible happens. Nothing, by P.T. Barnum. And so I heard about an event where the development team promised that the room would be full, that there would be droves of people at the annual fundraiser, and it was going to be a huge success. In the end, there were not even 3 tables of attendees when they were expecting at least 200 people or more. And the event was a huge bust. So I think that when it comes to these projects, it becomes everybody's responsibility. And so we are going to share some ways today that you can enlist the help of others and really be able to try to expand your promotion in a positive way without a lot of extra work, because obviously you guys are all very busy people and have a lot on your plate on a daily basis. So the idea is to be able to pick and choose from some of these in a way that you can just really expand your reach without a lot of extra time and energy on your part. One of the biggest mistakes we see with email marketing is the fact that a lot of organizations are not properly capturing emails. So a lot of people have emails that go out. Obviously, I think a regular communication is paramount in reaching your audience. Some people are, we have a client right now that we've been working with, and they were internally communicating quite regularly, but they were not really having a newsletter that could tie into the community around them or be able to expand their reach to potential new donors and supporters, and really be able to get some new names on their list and new contacts and relationships to forge. And so we've really been working with them to see the importance of a monthly communication that really is general information about the organization and the successes that they're seeing. But on the flip side of that, a lot of our clients have events and they have a lot of people come. Maybe you have a table captain at your annual gala and they bring 10 of their friends, but are you capturing the contact information for all 10 of those friends? Are you adding those people who've now been touched by your organization to your email list so that you can stay in regular communication with them and try to foster a new relationship? So I think that every time you have an event, every time you even get an email inquiry into your office, one of our clients keeps a log where they just track new contacts so that, on a periodic basis, they can input them into their system and stay in communication with those people. Many of us get hundreds of emails daily. And so really thinking about who may or may not be on the list, who may or may not be a good contact for your organization, and making sure that you do invite them to get onto your email list so that you're constantly growing that list and really staying focused on that, I think is a really great way to be able to boost promotions. And it does remain, statistics show, depending on which source you look at, that in anywhere from 70% to 85% say that email marketing is still the most effective tactic in reaching people. So growing that list and making more people aware of what you're doing is hugely important. I also think that email footers are another great way to easily take advantage of some real estate. Again, you're probably sending hundreds of emails a day, and so is your staff. So the ability to add in a highlight, maybe add an event graphic into your into your footer that might speak to that event if you have it, share the date, share the link to get tickets and invite people, keep it simple, but I encourage you to utilize that space, and I encourage you to change it up periodically too, because that gets more notice. If it's always there and it always looks the same, then I think people kind of don't take notice. But if you can have a graphic that may go with your largest fundraiser and you put it in there with a link to tickets, it's going to get some attention. So really utilizing that space can help you expand contacts as well, and just constantly make people aware that your event's coming. If you are an organization that can create a special icon for your largest partners, your volunteers, your members, I know we have a lot of chambers that we work with and a couple are on the call today, but being able to allow your partners to showcase on their email or on their website that they're a supporter and a partner can also help expand your reach to everybody in their circle. It can be a good way. You could do board member icons, you can do partner icons, volunteers. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think a lot of people that work with you are probably really proud of that connection and what they're doing to support you. And so it's a really good way for people to also become aware of your organization by sharing that. There's the idea of creating a blog series. If you have a nice lead up or a ramp up to, maybe your largest fundraiser. And I think a lot of the items today are going to be, they can, oh my gosh, words. They can apply to your annual fundraiser or to your annual appeals. So I've kind of taken it through that lens of fundraising and really looked at it that way. But again, you can apply this in a lot of different ways for your organization. But I think the blog series is a nice ramp up to particularly your largest event or your annual appeal, from a standpoint that you can plan it and get out in front of it in a nice way, that maybe every couple of weeks you can do a short blog. You can tap into humor, you can tap into seriousness. And so I think about the top 10 reasons not to miss the XYZ ball. You want to create that fear of missing out and just make people want to be there. And I take it in the style of David Letterman's top 10, so it's a great way to bring in some humor and be able to address why people should be there. Or if it's your annual campaign and you want to be a little more serious about the work that you're doing, 5 ways your $50 makes a difference. And so being able to help people see the value of their donations can also be a really great way to help people get on board. And building a series, 5 ways that your $100 makes a difference, or 5 reasons that you want to be part of this event. You can just continue to build out that series and organize that so that maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe once a month, something interesting like that is hitting, and it'll change up the marketing and grab a little bit more attention than some of the other stuff might. These days, I think you also have the ability to make the invitation more visually appealing. Again, we're all getting hundreds of emails on a daily basis, but being able to, add some movement or to utilize one of the online invitation services, paper post, Evites, those systems allow you to create something that has more movement, garners more attention, and is a little bit out of the ordinary. In the old days, we had to spend a lot of money on printing really nice invitations, but nowadays trying to create a surprise element in the inbox, it's going to grab attention and it's going to help you get, just have people notice that you've announced something really important. So I encourage you to use these types of programs and invitations in a way that, when you launch the event, seems like a really good time, because it's going to warrant that aha and, oh, don't miss this. And if you, again, use them too frequently, then I think they will lose their effect or their impact. But I think it's a really good way to have a little bit of fun with your invitations. Also, creating a special invitation to your past attendees. Sometimes, again, if you've had table captains in the past who have invited friends and it helped you increase your reach, the importance of reaching out to those people who maybe the table captain is no longer on your board and won't be inviting those same people. But if you were, smart enough to get their contact information and then be able to share this year's event with them, you can again invite them to stay connected, invite them to come back and maybe buy tickets this time around. So really taking time to go back to past attendees is important. I think especially as we look at the year that we've just come out of, it's going to be even more important, because you may have people, 1 or 2 years that maybe have had to step back from your organization for some unexpected reason, but letting them know they're still invited or reminding them that you're still here, sometimes it's a great way to be able to re-engage them. And so I think, that's a dedicated invitation that should be made. And I think customizing it in a way that that you're speaking to them directly will strengthen that impact as well. One of the other things that we love to do at Big Buzz is that we create media alerts for a lot of our clients. And a lot of people, they think that they have to have a PR agency or work with a PR company to be able to connect with the media. But what we have found is that the basic who, what, where, why, and when with an attractive visual for your project or event really works very effectively. If you have local media that you can share that with, it's a good way to expand your reach. And we encourage our clients to reach out to local television stations, radio stations, contact your newspapers, online sources, and just be able to expand that in your community. Most of the media outlets have event calendars online, and we've been able to sometimes get our projects mentioned during the weather report, because people at the news station will review what events are coming up when they're giving their reports, and then they'll make a reference to it. So very subtle, but very nice to have those types of mentions made on air for your project. A lot of nonprofits also have the ability to tap into local sources like the churches and the schools. Your churches and your schools are doing regular distribution out to their audiences. And sometimes as a good partner, they will also be willing to share your information if you provide them with that nice write-up and be able to share that, and they will include that and push your event or project out. It really is a little bit more event driven. I don't know, since many of them are also fundraising, if they'll push your fundraising efforts as much, but for events, they often will partner and include those. And we found some great success that way. Tapping into your business community can also help. A lot of businesses have ongoing newsletters out to their community. So if you have brands that align with your organization, brands that you partner with, if you're a pet shelter and there's pet stores in your area, that's a really easy fit. And a lot of the chambers of commerce, if you're not a participant, you should consider it as well, because they are always looking for ways to promote their members and share community information. So I think that that's another resource for you to tap into. And then, of course, there's the beauty of influencers. I think that more and more organizations are finding that media personalities can come and be MCs, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person. Being able to tap into those names can really help attract folks to your event. So whether it be a celebrity panel, whether it be some high profile people in your neighborhood, the more you can invite those types of people to participate and then be able to showcase that in a special way, that also can help garner some attention, because again, it creates a fear of missing out. People get excited about being able to meet some of those people in person. And so it's just a great opportunity to be able to develop an influencer audience. And then obviously online, even with bloggers these days, you have the ability to create a bigger, a wider awareness and a bigger cast of your net to continue to expose your organization to more and more people, which is what you're all working on. When we move to the online promotions, there's obviously so much to cover here. There's the standard posting, obviously, but making sure that you're tagging people and tagging other organizations continues to expose your organization further on the web. And so I think that we did, for one of our clients last year, we did a board countdown, which was really a great campaign for us to run, where we just every day for the 2 weeks leading up to the installation, we highlighted a board member every day, tagging them, tagging their company, and their companies mostly have people running their social media. So they're looking for those tags and those interactions, and it helps be able to start to engage, again, a wider audience than what you might have on your own. So being able to showcase who's connected to your organization, your event, your programs, again, that starts to get their audience exposed and also be able to bring more people in. So I think that that's really important. One of the other things that I think has to be said here, I think hopefully most of you are doing it too, but there's so many options for your social media these days. And I think, again, right, it comes back to your goal setting, and really your goal setting for your promotion should tie into your organization's overall strategic goals. And so thinking about, do you need to be on all of the platforms? Most likely not. Think about who you're trying to reach, think about where they are, look at some of those statistics, and really focus on the platforms that are going to have the best success for your goals. I think it's better to do a couple of social media channels and do them really, really well, rather than trying to spread yourself too thin and be in too many places where you can't actually drive up the engagement and get the growth that you're seeking. Obviously, being able to also put your event on Facebook events is another nice way to try to expand that to a larger audience. If you've got some key supporters, you can invite them, and then it allows them to invite their friends to your event to continue to exponentially grow the awareness of that event. And we found that to work really well for some of our clients. Also, LinkedIn events is now a thing as well. So if you have not yet tried posting your events on LinkedIn and you are working in that promotional space with the professionals, it's a good opportunity to start to try that and see if that might work for your organization as well. And I think in this day and age, one of the gifts that has come out of the last year is that we've all gotten a lot more comfortable with video than maybe we were a year ago. And I encourage you to think about how you can capitalize on video usage for your organization. You can simply, I got a follow-up from a meeting recently where the person sent me a video that was personalized. Hi, Melissa. So nice to see you at XYZ event. I'm really glad that we were able to connect. Let's have a follow-up chat in the near future. Send me a couple of dates and times. And so it was just really a surprise. Again, it's a surprise element that shows up in your inbox, and it's like, oh, wow, that was really nice and refreshing to not just be another dry email. So think about how you can utilize video, short, sweet. It could be one big invitation that goes out to your audience. Again, the same way that you can include some of those animated, graphics and those types of things. You can also create a video that is an invitation to your event. And it could be fun if you have, a humorous angle. If you have a serious angle, you can really, again, tie in with the messaging of your organization, and then put that out there in a way that other people can continue to share that invitation to your board, your staff, your supporters. It's just a really great way to continue to spread the word. And with that, I want to do just a small video sidebar, because I do think that video can be capitalized on in a variety of ways. And I want to share some of the ideas that we have seen work rather well. So again, a series of interviews, I think, can be a really powerful thing that can help you tell your story. It's an effective tool where you can involve other people. So you could do a series, like create a summit. Maybe it's a one-day event. Maybe it is, 4 individual stories that become part of your annual event. But now, video used to be out of our reach. Video used to cost $10,000 or more to maybe, do a good one and really be able to capitalize on that opportunity and show a really great video at your annual event. But that's just not the way it is anymore. We all have a video recorder in our hands these days. And so the ability for, your clients, your board members, your members to talk about the impact or why they're part of your organization, why they think the work you do matters, even your staff, right? For the staff to talk about, why is your vision important? What are you accomplishing? And why does it matter? Can be so powerful in driving up the participation and the connectivity. So I think that, you can do that angle or you could include one of those videos every month in your newsletter if you're doing a monthly piece, and it just continues to sprinkle that throughout. You could use it, if you do 2 annual appeals, you could use it, as a ramp up to that appeal, maybe do 1 story every week for 4 weeks, just lots of opportunities around that. I also think, again, for a monthly feature, you're probably going to want to do it a little shorter, maybe a 5-minute program would allow you to be able to share some meaningful nugget about what you're working on. It's also a great way to keep your supporters engaged. I participate in an organization that lately I feel that it's just not clear. It's not clear what their vision and mission is. It's not clear what they're working on. And so being able to utilize these small snippets on a regular basis can remind people what you're working on and keep them tethered to you in a really positive and strong way. And then I think if you wanted to utilize these opportunities on social media, I think you can do social media sprinklings and just 1-minute videos that are short, sweet, and just be able to use those in a variety of campaigns that could be about why I don't want to miss this event, or why, I give, or why I donate my time, why I volunteer. So again, you can adapt it to what you're trying to accomplish and be able to include that in your reach. And again, I think staff stories here can be really powerful. For those of you who have staff, I think that you've got some really dedicated people that are giving on a daily basis and working really hard. And so being able to highlight them and showcase them and talk about what they're doing can make them feel really special, recognized, and appreciated. But actually pushing their story out can also help other people get to know them and understand why they should also be part of your organization. The board has another unique angle. Those are leaders sitting at the table on a regular basis. And, being able to, again, feature a board member, they hopefully are going to see great pride in that feature. And then they're going to want to share that with their social media and be likely to, again, continue to expand your reach through those partners. So I really think that that can be a great opportunity as well. Client stories. I know not everybody can share their client stories based on the sensitivity of your client population, but if you can, doing regular features can be a great opportunity to make them feel special. It can tell your success stories, share your positive outcomes, and let your clients talk about why the work you did supported them or really made a difference, because most donors want to know that their dollars are being used in a meaningful way. And when you hear somebody's personal story about maybe getting out of homelessness or being able to get back on their feet, or even if it's a successful pet story, you just really start to have more of that emotional angle that is going to draw people in. And they always talk about leading with emotion. So I think that that's a good opportunity there. And then even your event prep. Sometimes, thinking outside of the box a little bit and being able to capitalize on what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe you're putting together the swag boxes. Maybe you're putting together, the design or the slideshow, or gathering photos, or whatever that might be. I think these days in the virtual world, it might be a little harder to make a video or a snippet of the preparation, but not entirely, right? Setting up the cameras, setting up the videos, preparing. There can just be some interesting angles and perspective around that. And sometimes that can also just be an interesting angle to share with folks. Back to online promotions and away from our video sidebar. I encourage you to use the social media headers on a regular and rotating basis. I think that they act as billboards, and I know that, not everybody sees them unless people come to your website, but if you are rotating those, it garners more attention. It keeps your brand in front of your followers and those that are connected to you online. But it also is just a great way to, again, expand the reach, for people who are coming to your social media to see that, your big event's coming up on this date, your annual campaign is going to, hit at this time. Share stats about what you're accomplishing and how many lives you've touched this year. If you have, even just tying into the holidays and simple wishes, sometimes it's a nice way to change your headers and keep them just fresh and utilize that real estate to share a powerful message so that you're continuing to share your story in a meaningful way. We at Big Buzz always create social media kits for our large projects as well. I think that, in the old days, I've been around for a while, and I come from a journalism background where we were always tasked with making media kits that you would send out to all of the media outlets. They were laborious, to say the least, from the history of the organization to the stats of the organization, images of the organization, the story you wanted to tell, the press release. These days, life moves fast, and it's much easier to do a social media kit that's going to include, your images with your design or your logo, your emblem, whatever you're utilizing for your event, and to be able to resize it so that's already available for people to utilize on their social media, and then give them some sample posts that they can utilize. And think about the different vantage points. For some of our festivals, we really would tap into the food vendors, the market vendors, the musicians and the entertainment, our board, our staff, and the community that was we were serving, and just think about all of those different angles so that you can prepare those simple to post social media text. People are so busy and they're so worn out these days. There's a lot on their plate. And so the simpler that you make sharing your information online for them, the more that they're likely to engage and be able to do it. And so once you do create that social media kit, you may want to customize it a little bit. Maybe it's the same images, but different text for different segments of your population. I know, like, we've worked with Green City Market on their chef barbecue. And so all of those restaurants that participated, being able to customize it for the chefs and those restaurants would be a great opportunity. So, and even then for the ticket buyers, that was a great event where people were excited to be able to come. And so utilizing the attendees and your ticket buyers, and even inviting them to share it, your volunteers, again, looking at each one of those angles that you can continue to expand your reach. And once you've created the kit, you share it out, and hopefully it can continue to grow in its reach for you without you having to do much else, except maybe remind people to make sure that they are using it. Also, I find that sometimes contests and competitions can also be very impactful for getting people excited or freshening up what might otherwise feel stale to some people. NAWBO Chicago currently they're in their spring membership drive, and they had a meetup with NAWBO Los Angeles. Last year in the fall, those two organizations came head to head, and it was a big contest of who was going to win the membership drive. So for the spring membership drive, they had a collaborative kickoff where they again kind of threw down the gauntlet and issued a challenge to see who was going to bring in the most members this year, with the losing team sending some of that city's items to the other chapter. So it's all in good fun. It's meant to be creative. Sometimes your departments within your organization might be able to do this. You might be able to get your board members, if they are actively engaged in a nice way. You might be able to get your board to also foster small teams. And just really try to engage more people. So I think those contests can sometimes be fun. Sometimes you can, also I think the contests online and inviting other people, your volunteers, it's a good way if you have, I know a lot of you have really solid volunteer bases. And so sometimes, again, on a task to get the volunteers to get excited and enthused, it can be in good fun and have great success for your organization as well, with, some simple prizes going out to the winners. Sometimes it's as easy as a pizza party or something where it just, everybody comes together and celebrates on the outcomes. One of the things we also encourage is the ambassador program. So we've seen this work really well for a couple of our clients where they build a representative team. It's almost like a volunteer assignment of sorts. And by having this ambassador profile and program in place, they're able, when they post certain activities online, to then it's kind of like sharing the social media kit with the ambassadors, to get those ambassadors to share your message, to engage more actively. So they're trained and kind of regularly connected with in a way that you can say, okay, here's what we want to try to accomplish, and kind of, you know, work behind the scenes to drive some of the algorithms, work behind the scenes to foster some of that engagement. And also, if those people are active in your organization, active supporters, again, they're some of those people, if they're active on the social media, active in your organization, putting those two things together and asking them to be one of your social media ambassadors, for example, can just, again, really help you get the reach out, especially if they're connected to others who would be your right fit audience for your organization or your event. So some ambassador programs can be set up a little differently. Sometimes it's, you know, welcoming new members. Sometimes it can be an extension of even helping to solicit donations for silent auctions. And so ambassadors can really do a lot of different things. But for today, we're talking about the promotions. Therefore, I focused on the social media opportunities and just encouraging them to share the invitation in their circles. One of the other things that I also have seen in an ambassador program during the virtual arena that has worked well for a couple of projects as well, is where they will host like a table captain who would normally maybe bring people together in a ballroom for an event. They might host a smaller gathering in their home and then tune into a broadcast for an organization. So that also could be another way to invite your ambassadors to invite their friends and colleagues to tune into something. We had a trivia event that was that way and worked out nicely. So some different ways to think about that. I don't know how many of you might be utilizing Eventbrite, but also, you know, we have started to find a lot of increased value in Eventbrite. I think that they have worked very hard to be more of a resource, a destination to find events, and almost like a media source of sorts. So we have really started utilizing Eventbrite a lot more with a lot of our clients. The concept that they are free if your event is free. So if you have certain programs where you're not charging, you know, then I think that that makes a lot of sense to be able to tie into that. Also, the credit card fees, you know, the ability to pass those fees on to the purchaser has helped a lot of our clients secure up to thousands of dollars in additional revenue, which in this day and age is more important than ever. And so the ability to pass on those charges through Eventbrite and tap into some of those features. We also are going to talk a little bit later about utilizing individual links to know which of your promotions are working, and Eventbrite makes that easy to do as well. So there is a cost for the use of Eventbrite, but I think as a promotional tool, sometimes the expanded reach, there are more and more people where they're delivering content into people's inbox for people who are looking at events like yours. So they're doing some matching, and I continue to think Eventbrite has just been a really useful tool for a lot of our nonprofit clients. If you're not utilizing it currently, you might want to take a look at it. And then I also think about featuring your event on your website. You know, a lot of us set our websites, and sometimes it's the last thing on the list that we get back to, but really making sure you're leveraging the real estate on your website. And if you have a big event or a big campaign, I would encourage you not to bury it inside your website, but to really make sure that you've got a featured location on the homepage near the top. You know, maybe that's a particular header for that particular month. Maybe it's an additional graphic, but really finding a way to feature your project on your website. Again, maybe it's that video invitation that you've created and now you can utilize it in different places. And so really being able to invite people to connect with it on your homepage can add that value that we're looking for you. The one thing too that I did make a note about, to just circle back on those social media headers, making sure you include links in your description for registrations and donations is really important, because the headers are not, you can't click through, but you want to make sure you have all of that important information in the description so it's easy to find for visitors. And then a lot of our clients are starting to do broadcasts live. And so, I find that every channel is starting to add this feature. We had a client in the fall, the Rogers Park Business Alliance. We always work with them on Small Business Saturday. And traditionally, we've just done a lot of sharing of specials and their promotions for that particular day. But this year, we had one of our team members go out, and Brad got to play host and do interviews with a lot of the merchants and do small videos where he could engage and highlight them. And so I think a couple of things when you're doing a live video, you want to be able to think about, it takes a while to build up the audience. So sometimes, they need to be a longer video. Sometimes you can actually capture the videos and then share them later, and it might be a way to get, additional leverage out of them and continue to capitalize on content you've already created. You can create a library of your member videos and things of that nature. But again, video just captures people's attention differently. We stop, we want to play. I mean, if you look at, platforms like TikTok, right? It's all about videos and, just really changing up the marketplace a little bit. And so people are kind of tired of that one-dimensional post. And so the videos really start to change it up and make it more engaging. So if you haven't played around with it, I encourage you to. I do think, again, you've got to really go back to your goals and think about where your ideal audience is and think about where you want to put that video. If you have the most followers on Facebook, then you probably aren't going to want to launch your video on Instagram. If you don't have any presence on Instagram, you wouldn't want to put your video there. So really thinking about, again, where your audience is, where you're likely to expand that reach. And then if you're going to do something like that, really making sure that you're trying to, again, get those ambassadors to tune in, get your board to tune in, get your staff to tune in, so that it starts to help also kind of bring it alive and make other people aware that it's happening. Cross promotions. I think that an awful lot of people, can get a little bit competitive in the nonprofit space. And I am a person with an abundant mindset. I believe that there is always enough to go around and that there's enough out there for all of us. So I like to find partnerships that make sense. And you might, if you are writing regular articles for your organization, the concept of doing a blog trade might make sense for you. If it's a similar organization and there's a relationship that's a natural link there, then being able to occasionally, be featured in their newsletter and have them share their content in your newsletter can be an effective way to, again, create some crossover and bridge the organizations. I think about this for maybe like a school and an after school program, right? They are reaching the same people, but with different angles, different messaging. And so collaborating together or sharing information can just help them strengthen their audience and grow naturally. Cross-posting is very much the same thing. We have, some organizations for some of our clients where we're keeping an eye on, maybe it's a sponsor, maybe it's a partner, and we're just being able to share and repost their content, and they are also reposting ours. And what I find is that taking note of when you might want to share certain request to your board, to your sponsors, to your partners, to your staff, and asking them to particularly engage with a post, super important, because everybody gets busy, and the way the algorithms work, sometimes people may not see your post right away, but if you have certain ones during the course of the year, maybe it's one a month, maybe it's 3 or 4 a year, but really making sure that you're making a concerted effort to let other people know, like, hey, this post is something special, so I really need you to engage with this one. Please like, share, and continue to help us grow our reach. I think that messaging goes a long way, and lots of times we put it up and we think they're automatically going to think to do that, but they're busy people too, and so just reminding people is very helpful in expanding your reach. And then I mentioned the forging of partnerships. I think that they can be really, really valuable. And I think about a couple of places where, we work with NAWBO Chicago, and NAWBO Chicago, they are a community of female entrepreneurs. It is the National Association of Women Business Owners, for anybody who maybe doesn't know the acronym. And they are a community of female entrepreneurs. We work frequently with the Women's Business Development Center, known as the WBDC, because they do certification for women in business who want to go after minority contracts. And so we're a good fit because we're serving the same audience, but we're doing different things. And so throughout the course of the year, we promote their largest event, they promote our largest event. We attend their large event, they attend our large event, and then often we may issue a joint statement during the course of the year if there's a particular initiative that we're both on board with and it makes sense. NAWBO also works with the Small Business Advocacy Council, the SBAC. So NAWBO was founded on advocacy back in 1975 when the organization started, and we have always been advocating on behalf of female entrepreneurs. We've currently got somebody from the national office that works on Capitol Hill, but locally at the city and the state level and the county, it makes a lot of sense for us to work with the SBAC because we've got more power together. And I know that some of you already know the SBAC and work with them as well, because you may be a chamber. And so again, all of us putting our voices together as like-minded organizations fighting for the same cause, it creates a larger attraction of attention and gets more done on that political level. So thinking about partnerships that might make sense for you, I think continues to be a good way for you to again expand your reach and just be able to capitalize on your resources and time by working with others to support them and have them support you. A few other points, I love to share best practices if you tune in regularly. And so I reiterate here to really know who your ideal audience is. You're not trying to reach everybody. They're not all going to be the right fit for you. And so just going where you can, maybe creating an online social media group for your audience would be a good investment of your time. More and more people are engaging in groups where they have similar interests, and it's a way to keep people coming back. But I also think people have to be really careful to, again, that email remains so important, right? Because that's the way nowadays we can deliver something directly to somebody. Whereas social media, they may come and go, they may not be on there regularly. We know that not everybody engages with social media, so it should never be your only option of promotion. And that's where I like some of the video ideas that we can utilize in different ways and be able to share it in different spaces, so you're getting more leverage out of the content that you're creating. You have to prioritize the ideas that work best for you. We've fired through an awful lot of options today. I think when I counted, there's like 34 in total, and it's impossible to do them all. So you really do need to prioritize the ones, and again, get clear on your goals. Think about which of the ideas would meet those goals best, and then be able to prioritize out of the top 5, top 10 ideas that you like and you think would be good for your goals, which ones do you want to prioritize? Which seem the easiest, the most logical, the most reasonable for you to do, and then do those. It's always nice, and there's always the opportunity to do more, but lots of times it's hard. And so you've just got to be able to carve out the time and not overdo it in an effort to be able to get the reach and the exposure that you want. And the more you can involve your board or get other people to even make some of those smaller videos and then submit them, the easier it is for you to share them. It starts to take a little bit of the work off your plate, which can also be very helpful. But definitely do not stretch yourself too thin. I really encourage you to create unique registration links, whether you do it through a program like Bitly, whether you do it through Eventbrite. We generally, at Big Buzz, we're trying to utilize one link in our emails, one in our newsletter, one for social media, so that we can start to see where are we getting traction, who's finding us from which platforms. We even actually have one link that is specific to Eventbrite. Are they coming directly through that program? And that helps us continue to evaluate what we're doing that is working, so that we are, again, if we have to prioritize and we have to cut something, we're starting to identify, like, it just may not make sense for us to be on that platform because we're not seeing the activity or the engagement that we were hoping to find there. So I encourage you to do the same. I'm a huge fan of ongoing review and analysis to evaluate what works best and what you should continue doing. I also think adding social media handles to your registration processes can be helpful. It allows you to tag and connect with more people online. So, lots of times we, Susie Smith, right? There might be 50 Susie Smiths online. And so it's hard to know which one is the right one for us to tag. So if you can just get some of that information on the front end and see who's active on social media, you may be able to tag more people, connect with more people, and make that more useful for you. And include waivers on registration as well. I think we have to be sensitive about sharing people's information or photos. All of our big events, we have photo waivers that are just part of the registration process, so that we can collect images and we have the ability to share them and utilize them in future promotions, whether that be video making or slideshows or whatever the case may be. So including those on your registration forms can also be very helpful for your promotional efforts in the long run. And then I think it's important to be consistent with design, images, and messaging. I think that there's a few different thoughts around this particular statement that I want to hit on today and just really highlight. But, the ability to be consistent with design. We work with the Lincoln Park Chamber of Commerce and the Clark Street SSA for a spooktacular event every fall. I think it's a really great example of, there is a witch that has been created. We call her Witchy Poo, and she is their symbol for that event. What we do is we keep the witch every year, but we change her pose. We change the scenery that she is part of so that it creates that brand continuity and consistency. We had one client that we worked with where they changed their logo every single year for their event. And I think you start to lose some traction and some recognition around that particular project. So thinking about what you want to do for your design and when to change it is important. For a particular campaign, I think it really matters to keep the imagery the same so that people see it, they resonate with it. They still say that, it used to be you needed 8 to 10 touches in marketing to get somebody to convert or make the purchase. And now I've been hearing 10 to 12. And so having that image continue to be consistent, that they're seeing it, they know it's the same event, they recognize it, it's going to help it stand out more for you in the long run. So I think that those things are important. And then your messaging, I think that trying to say messaging a couple of different ways is important. Some people are going to attract to you for different reasons. And so if you just are always saying, attend our event. It's going to be great. We've got this panel, right? But maybe some people are coming for who they're going to see there. Maybe some people are coming for the silent auction items because you've got some really unique items that people get to bid on. So really changing that messaging to freshen it up in a couple of ways. I think about NAWBO's spring membership drive as a great example. Like, join for this discount. You know, some people might be driven by the discount that they get during the membership drive, but then other people might be driven by the community that awaits them on the other side and the reminder that you don't have to do this alone for local business owners. And so you want to be able to sometimes put a couple of different phrasings out there. But again, not too many that it creates brand confusion either. So as that brings us up to the end of the presentation, the official presentation, I would love to address questions. And so the first one, do you recommend adding the video to an email message or post it somewhere else and share a link to it? All of the above. I think that if you get video content, the ability to leverage it and utilize it as much as possible is really valuable. So if you can put that, you know, right into an email, again, right? If I get a video coming directly to me, I'm going to want to see what message, what's in that. I don't usually get those videos. So why are they sending this to me? And I'm going to tune in. I think you want to keep them relatively short on a lot of occasions. I think people don't have huge attention spans. So you want to be really powerful, get in, get out, you know, get in, make your point, get out. I think is really important. But then if you've created it, share it on social media, put it on your website, have your board members share it. Because if you've taken the time to create it, then leveraging it in as many places as possible, I think is really important. I would also encourage you have to be very sensitive with music and some of the things in the background from the standpoint of licensing restrictions. There are free music, so depending on what you might do with your video, just being aware of that and you know, not creating a video that's going to get taken down is rather important. But you can create it put it on a YouTube channel, make it more searchable. Just continue to really use it in any place that you can, in my opinion. For the competition between teams or organizations, the focus should be on number of members, not dollars, right? So again, I think that this really depends on your goals, right? If you have, I think about something like the 5Ks, the races, they often have teams where people are actually raising money for a cause and they're bringing together people, you know, into the darkness. Like they're getting people to donate to them, and then they're going to have these different, every team that's participating is going to start to have a different amount of money contributed. So there's a way to recognize your highest contributors, to try to incentivize them to do more. And sometimes it may be broader, right? It may be, you know, every team who gets $2,500 in donations is going to receive, you know, a branded t-shirt. It might be a way to just incentivize people to get to a certain base level for your organization. For some people, if we're working with a lot of businesses for a certain project, we will often try to give them exposure or more recognition. Maybe they get an ad, maybe they get recognized, you know, in the video. Just it kind of again comes back to your goals. I think some of you might be trying to grow members, and if your membership growth is a big deal, then yeah, you want those teams to focus on members. Who's recruiting the most new members? So I think it comes back to really depending on your goals overall. All right, I see another question. How much email is too much email? I think that's a great question. I've been seeing a lot of people in a lot of chat groups that I'm part of, and they're talking about sending weekly emails for donation requests and what have you. And I think that's nuts. You know, on a lot of cases, people are busy and they get overwhelmed. So I think you've got to really strategize. We have one client where we just actually consolidated. They're covering a lot of ground. It's a membership-based organization. They've got a lot going on. They, a lot of events, a lot of activity, their largest fundraisers coming up. And so rather than doing lots of individual emails, we actually consolidated a couple of summary emails with sections in it that allow us to provide more information in a shorter amount of time. And I think that is working really well. I think every organization should have at least a monthly email, for sure. And, but I think if you start to do more than one a week, it definitely is too much. You have to really connect with your audience and sometimes invite them to share their opinion. We've been very fortunate that some of our clients, people have said, you're over communicating with me, or we can watch the stats and we can, the other value, right, in pulling the data down on the back end of your social media or your emails. I mean, I love that the email programs give you so much content and data that you should definitely be reviewing. And if you are finding a lot of unsubscribes, we find that sometimes end of year campaigns, they start to hit too often and people are tired of that messaging and they start to unsubscribe because they're running out of time, or they're just overwhelmed, or they're tired of getting that much content. So that starts to tell you like, oh, we might be sending too much. Maybe we should draw back. I know I had one organization that I was just a recipient of their email. We didn't work with them, but my word, I was getting an email every day for like the entire month of December. And I was like, unsubscribe. I was interested in them, but I wasn't that connected to them. And so it just was overkill for me. So I think really looking at connecting with your audience, an occasional short survey can be useful. Conversations to, bring it up with your staff, bring it up with your board. What are people telling you? Tune into your audience and really just be able to have those conversations, I think is really important. All right. Any other questions that I have not addressed at this time? I think. All right. I think if that is all of our questions, I would love to tell you all that we, in addition to the breakfast club that we have started, we have also added roundtables, and we know that we want to offer greater support through our experience for nonprofit organizations. And so next Thursday, if you're interested in coming, we will be having a roundtable. That would be Thursday, March 18th from 11 to noon. And those bring nonprofit peers together to talk about what you're doing, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what your challenges are, so that as a group, we can share some additional ideas and resources. And we really have had some really great discussions these last few months. So I encourage you, when you get the follow-up from today's event, it will have the video link, and then you will also have the opportunity to register for that roundtable. So I invite you to do so. We'd love to have you join us. And then the breakfast clubs are free. They run the second Thursday of every month. So thank you for joining us today. Next month's event is going to be the Drama-Free Workplace, 3 ways to address conflict to help you stay focused on your nonprofit work and not get distracted. So we think that's going to be a really great topic. We're also always looking for ideas and topics that are of interest to you. I encourage you to reach out at any time to us if you've got some ideas that you would like to share about topics you'd like more information on, because we love to make these as meaningful for you as possible. And then in addition to the Breakfast Club and the roundtables, we've also launched the Power Cells. The Power Cells are nonprofit masterminds that bring together peers and allow you to group think and have a confidential space where you can speak freely and just work through any of your current situations within your organization. I find as an executive director that you have to be on constantly. You are always on for your board, on for your staff, on for your donors, on for your, your audience, on for your communities. And so having a trusted, safe space where you can speak freely, to just really be able to connect with one another and share your experiences, ask your questions, and just work through things that are on your plate at any given time, has been really powerful. And it is a program that we hope to grow more of. So if you are at all interested in those power cells, please do let us know as well. And then we also have the Power Up Consultations. I want to continue to be a resource for nonprofit leaders. I know that you are often challenged with overcoming obstacles and working through a lot of things. And so for those who would like one-on-one coaching or consultation, we also are available for those services, and we would love to connect with you. Other than that, I thank you very much for spending your morning with us today. We really do enjoy giving to the nonprofit community. We are honored and delighted to be part of your nonprofit journey, and hope that you found this morning's content useful. And if there's anything else that we can do for you here at Big Buzz, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you and have a great day.